For the next assignment, we are going to be finding tabular data and then modifying that tabular data so that we can turn it into an ArcGIS map online. That's going to require a number of steps. The first step is just finding data, and you can find data from any reputable source you want. You just need some column of data that is associated with country names, most of the countries of the world, but you don't have to have all the countries of the world by any means. That is easily cut and pasted from one data sheet to another. You can also do things manually as well. I'm going to show you another Excel data sheet here in just a little bit, and you can put the numbers in manually, although of course that can be a relatively time-consuming thing to do. I have up here some World Bank indicator data that often is a good place to look for different types of data, and it downloads pretty easily as well. I'm going to click in here into the search bar, and I'm just going to type up alcohol consumption. Brings it right up, and then I can scroll down here and I can download these data, and what I want to download them as either a CSV or an Excel. I've gone ahead and done that, and you can see it downloaded it into a zip file. Take that zip file and put it onto your desktop. And then when you have it on your desktop, you're going to right-click on it and you're going to say extract those data. Once you have extracted the data, they're going to look like this. It's going to have a bunch of metadata here that you don't really need to use for our purposes, as long as you remember where your data comes from so you can provide a citation. What you want to look at is this data set right here. And it has created a data set. I downloaded it as a CSV file. You can also download it as an Excel if you want to. It really doesn't matter that much. You'll see that the country names are here. In addition to the country names being here, there are these 3-letter codes that are really important, as well as some other information. So you can just start to immediately edit this by getting rid of the rows that we don't really need. All we need is the country names. We need the country codes, and then we need the actual data set. And you can see that there's data here for many, many years, and I can just delete all of those years that I don't want and just have them for the most recent year. And so here there is data that looks like we have at least through 2010, but probably more recently than that. Yeah, it goes up to 2019. So I'm actually just going to delete everything except for 2019, and now I have this alcohol consumption in liters for the year of 2019. And it is associated, of course, with all these country names as well. Now, one thing that you will notice when you take a look at this is that in addition to there being countries, there will also be regions as well. And generally, I think it's just fine to keep that regional data in there, but you might want to get in and clean that up and get rid of some of those data if, just to make things a little bit easier. I think it should be no problem bringing it into ArcGIS online like that, but if it is, you can just delete that. So that's the first thing we're going to do here, and I'm going to make sure that I save these data someplace where I'm able to find them. And now I'm going to go and open up another data set. This CSV file that I have brought up is the one that I have given to you. It gives the name of all the countries of the world, and then the 3-letter codes and the 2-letter codes that help us to identify that we're going to want to keep. I've also included a numerical code here that might prove useful to some of you, so we're going to keep it like that for the time being. Then what I'm going to do is I am going to get into these data right here, and I am going to copy columns B and C, and I'm going to bring those columns into the spreadsheet and paste them here. Okay, now what you're going to see when you do this is that the country codes don't line up particularly well. And there can be a couple reasons for this, but you'll have to sort of figure this all out. Part of it's going to be that you've got regional data packed in here in addition to country codes and things like that. Anyhow, it can be a little bit confusing. But what I certainly see taking place here in the first 4 columns of data is that they are alphabetically based on the country rather than on the country code, which is how they're done in this other set of data over here. So I'm actually going to highlight those 4 columns, and then I am going to sort them, and I'm going to do a custom sort, and I'm going to base it on the Alpha 3 country code and say OK. And now things start to line up a little bit better. They're not perfect though, so I'm going to have to start deleting some things. For example, I can highlight this right here, this AFE, which is probably some sort of a regional code, and I can delete that cell, and you'll see that it brings things up to match them right here. There's a lot more though that needs to be deleted here to do this and to get everything in the right place. And some of the data we probably want to get rid of, like the Åland Islands are these small islands in between Finland and Sweden and the Baltic. We can probably just completely delete those data. So I'm going to take a little bit of time now, and I'm going to try to get everything to line up here the way that it's supposed to. Okay, after about 15 minutes of editing, I now have everything lined up. You can see that the name of the country is here. It tells the Alpha 2 code, AW, and the Alpha 3 code, ABW. And then it also shows the country code that matches this. The numerical one is there as well. Again, it might be useful. And then there is a number associated with it. Mostly it was a matter of getting rid of really small countries, like island nations, the Vatican, things like that. And then also getting rid on the other side of some of the regional areas. But we now have an Excel data sheet that includes the name of the country, as well as the country codes, all matched up, and then the number of alcohol consumption as well. So we have completed the editing that we need for this particular data set, and it is saved as an Excel right here in this, but we could also easily save this as a CSV file. So I'm actually going to save it as both, just so that I've got it saved both as an Excel and as a CSV.